Hello, it's time for another episode of Discipleship. Today we're talking about making disciples, which comes straight from the Great Commission, Matthew 28, 19 and 20. How are we teaching our disciples to follow the commands that Jesus gave us? Here's the question. We're called to love our neighbors. So, the first appearance in the Bible comes from Leviticus 19, verse 18. Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And God finishes that statement with, I am the Lord. That should be paramount for us. When God says it, it should just be automatically that we do it. Jesus says to love our neighbors also. In Matthew 22, verses 39 and 40, and I'm going to read from the English Standard Version, and I'm going to start in verse 36 so that we get the context. Somebody comes up to him and asks him a question to test him. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment of the law? And he said to him, the first commandment, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And then he continues on in verse 38. This is the great and first commandment. And the second is like it, parallel to it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments depend all the law and the prophets. The second greatest command is similar to the first in character and quality. And it deals with love. First, we have to love God. Then we have to love people. We should love our fellow man, our neighbor. And that's regardless of who that neighbor is. We've had some new neighbors move into our neighborhood. Some what they're calling migrants who have crossed the border illegally. I would still call them illegal immigrants because that's what they are. They've immigrated, but they've done it while skirting the law. But it doesn't matter. I'm supposed to love them. And I know that's really hard when you harbor this resentment towards people, especially people of a certain class or association. And I'm going to admit something to you. I'm only second generation from an immigrant. My grandfather came here as a teenager, and so it makes me think a little bit differently about this whole thing. My grandfather faced all sorts of prejudices when he first came here. He couldn't get a job. My grandfather immigrated from Scotland, and he was considered a Mick. So he faced all sorts of discrimination when he got here, and eventually he became a very successful guy. So I have maybe a little bit different of a heart for people that are coming here. I wish they would do it legally. There are legal ways to do it. Apply for asylum. You can get somebody to sponsor you. All these people that are so for all these immigrants should be sponsoring families. You can sign up. You can go to INS and sign up to be a sponsor. But beyond that, how is it that we love these people? That we don't hold it against them because of their situation? No matter who it is. And I think that crosses all lines. And it's very difficult to do that, especially when we're harboring this resentment within ourselves. Mm-hmm. We have to drop that resentment. The association that I'm involved with says it's part of the irreducible cord. We have to love God, love others, and make disciples. They say those are the minimum things you need to do to be able to call yourself a Christian. Well, I have a friend of mine that says you can reduce it even further. If you love God, you will love others. And if you love others, you will make disciples. And that's what this is all about. This is about how do we make disciples of Jesus Christ. We don't do it by condemning attitudes. How will they know we're Christians? They'll know Christians by our love. Do we just love on people? And that's the question. That's the challenge for us today. You need to go out and love on people. So for discipleship today, My name is Bob Benson. Thank you for taking the time to watch.